So I want to talk about New Year's resolutions. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Nefertiti Gold and I'm an electronic R&B artist. On this channel, you'll find videos on gear reviews, plugin reviews, beat videos, and even videos like this one, which I'm not really sure how to categorize. So by the time I post this video, it's probably going to be a good old 30 or more days after the new year. And the reason for that is I actually wanted to take my time this year instead of trying to rush myself to start a New Year's resolution on January 1st or January 2nd. And the reason for that is that I've noticed in the past that I'll set out goals for myself for the entire year that I just end up not sticking to. And for the last few weeks, I've been watching a few different videos on YouTube from other music creators about their strategies for 2024 and the goals that they have for themselves for this year. Two of them being Eldre and Nick D. Now, originally I wasn't subscribed to Nick D, but like YouTube was just like pushing his videos onto my timeline. And after watching a few of these different videos, I feel like I've come across at least 3 major takeaways that are going to be really important in achieving these goals, including a bonus one at the end of this video. Now, the first major takeaway I've gotten from these videos is that a failure to plan is a plan to fail. Now, I know this has been used a bunch of different times in a bunch of different ways, and I guess in general it's just really cliche, but it holds true. When I look back at previous years and previous goals that I've always had for myself, it was always this list of accomplishments that I wanted to achieve. And by the end of the year, I never really got to most of them. And if I'm really honest with myself and I look back at everything, it really was because I never set out a step-by-step plan to achieve each one of those goals. So for this year, even though I have a list of resolutions that I would like to get to in my personal life and in my music life, I actually want to take the time out, really think about them, and create that step-by-step plan in achieving them. Because I think when you put in a lot of energy in thinking about how you plan to achieve your goals, I feel like it becomes more and more attainable in that fashion. Now, the second takeaway that I've gotten from some of these videos, and this one is not always too obvious, and it's basically don't be afraid to take a step backwards. And what I mean by that is if you're thinking about some of the goals that you want to achieve for this year, and some of them might be really big and grandiose, and it's not impossible, but sometimes you might have to force yourself to take a step backwards and really analyze, do you have your foundations in place to even get to this goal? Now, you might come across people who might make you feel like what you want to achieve is impossible, and quite frankly, nothing is really impossible. It's really about thinking about where you are right now and what your current skill sets are. And if you feel like you're not exactly where you need to be to achieve that goal in the next, couple of weeks, then maybe you need to take a step backwards, look at what you're missing, and then just work on it. I know for myself, a goal that I would love to have in my lifetime is being able to have like a bi-weekly residency at like a really nice, restaurant and just play like cocktail piano. Now, even though I do play a few instruments, I'm not that well versed to hold down cocktail hour for 3 hours straight. So for me, taking a step backwards is basically just going back to piano lessons and making sure that I have my scales underneath my fingertips and really just working on those basic core foundational skills. So if you're finding value in this video so far, definitely like and subscribe to the channel. These are very small gestures that really help in a very big way. Now, the third takeaway that I've gotten from watching a bunch of videos on goals and strategies is that you need a realistic number of goals. I think my biggest downfall in the past, and I think maybe a lot of people can relate to this, is that you create this laundry list of goals that you want to achieve by the end of this year, and the whole year will pass by. And if you're lucky, maybe you'll achieve 1 or 2 of those goals. And quite frankly, it can be really upsetting when you look at this list at the end of the year and you didn't even hit 50%. And the reason for that is you're just doing too goddamn much. Like, don't get me wrong, I do the same thing. I'll just make a whole list of shit that I want to do, and it's just not realistic. Now, when it comes to this lifetime that we have, you can have it all. You can have it all. but maybe you just can't have it all at once. Meaning, just take that list, that big old list that you might have, and reduce it down to maybe 3 or 4 goals. I feel like 3 to 4 is kind of like that magic number. And who knows, maybe by halfway through this year, you might have achieved maybe at least 1 or 2 out of those goals, right? And at that point, it kind of gives you a really good boost of morale to either add more goals for the rest of the year or take that extra time that you might have and really push forward on those remaining goals that you have for yourself. And now for the bonus tip. I feel like this one is going to be the most cliche, the one that everyone has heard, even myself, a bajillion times over and over. And that is to be consistent. Ugh, I know. This is supposed to be the bonus goal, but it's the one that we've heard time and time and time and time again. Now, if you take in consideration the previous takeaways that I've listed already, making a step-by-step plan, not being afraid to take a step backwards, and keeping the number of goals realistic, I feel like it all plays into being able to actually be consistent. So if we make a step-by-step plan, if we decide to take a step backwards and do the foundations on other things, and then on top of it, we keep the number of accomplishments down to 3 to 4, I feel like it's easier to be consistent because then you're not overwhelmed. You're not burnt out. It seems actually achievable. And when you do achieve 1 to 2 goals out of the 3 or 4, it just feels like, holy shit, I can do this. I can keep pushing forward. I'm not burnt out. I'm not tired. I can do this. I can and I will. And I think it's important to kind of bring up these points of discussion because we can get caught up in that feeling of new year, new me, new this, new that. We need to really take our time, focus in on what we want, make that step-by-step plan, try to keep it to 3 to 4. And I really just think, not just for myself, but anyone watching this video, that you can genuinely achieve the goals that you set out for yourself. Nothing is impossible if you just really sit down, be realistic about where you are right now and what needs to get done. And if you keep it simple, silly, you can definitely get to that. So with that said, let me know in the comments below, what do you have planned for yourself in 2024? And I'll see you in the next video.